going on, man? How you doing? Thanks for coming on short notice. I just messaged you like an hour ago and you're in the dentist. How are we feeling?
Well, we're all good. Well, we're all good. It was the doctor. I've got some
Okay.
knee stuff back from the college days we're going to take care of here. So just kind of doing that so I can be good for another 15, 20 years.
Man, look at you go. Where are you at right now? Was this your home office?
This is yeah, I'm out in White Rock. I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go to Oliver to get ready for camp. We start on Wednesday.
Well, I know all about that. Tell me a little bit about what's going on this summer. Tell me what's break down Oliver for anybody who doesn't know what's going on.
Well, big league experience. This will be the 28th year running it for myself. Went there as a player back in the day, and then the camp started in 1960. So a long history in Oliver with regard to the ball camp. Fully residential, elite group of instructors. We've had some pretty good guys that have done some things in the game that such as yourself and others, and big league guys, and
Mm-hmm.
that have been a lot of fun to work with.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's some of my best years up there. I mean, I still tell the story of how we came up with my first daughter's name, Abby, and it was your oldest. I was there, and you asked your daughter, what should Curtis name his daughter when she's born? And
Yeah.
she said, Abby. And we couldn't decide on a name. We were both torn on a name when Abby was born, so we actually went with that. That rang a bell and was like, all right, Abby, it is. There we go.
That's kind of funny. I'll have to tell Audrey's my oldest one, and it was
Yeah, yeah,
Audrey
yeah,
that was
yeah.
there too. So
How,
yeah,
how old how old's Audrey now? She's got to be about 19, 20?
19. She'll be 20 at February in that too. So, but graduated and taking a gap year, and then hopefully back to school in the fall.
The dreaded gap year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So this is a kind of a quick and dirty thing I'm doing daily. I'm talking to dudes I know, talking about baseball, all sports guys, and the focus is development, mental performance, and just kind of want to get a couple questions, get your view on a few things here.
Cool. Yeah.
Um, First question I want to ask you, Marty, is where where are you seeing kids like these days? Let's say the kids 14, 15, 16ish that have the goals, they want to play college ball, they're on the bubble. How do you see their mindset these days? Like are they mentally locked in, or is there something missing right now?
Well, I think there's always improvement for sure. Do I think this is a field that needs to be given a lot more emphasis as far as development goes? By all means. I think any time that you can, I mean, we've all done it when we've played. We've been on top of the earth, and nothing can get us out. We'd go 4 for 4 against the best pitcher in the league, and then all of a sudden we'd be 0 for 3 against the guy that we were excited to face before the game started. And
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden you get the anxiety part sets in, and the fear of failure part too. So and baseball's one of those games to where you got to kind of stay the course and don't get too high, don't get too low. And so the mental aspect of the game is, in my opinion, is as huge as almost any part of the game.
Do you see it taking a back seat right now with all the, and it's more in the US. I know that, up here we're doing things the way we're doing them, but there's so much travel ball.
Uh,
Everything is put on physical, 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 perform now, perform now, perform now. And I mean, I know better than anybody because I'm in this field that, mental performance is something that is reactive to people now. It's like, oh, shoot, I need to figure out my mental game because I'm slumping as instead of proactive.
no, I'd agree. I think if we can instill at a younger age in regards to the importance of kind of staying the course, so to speak. I think it'll help out. The FOMO is living large right now nowadays. I mean, anybody that wants to take a travel team somewhere can easily enough do so.
Yeah.
People are afraid of that. If the Joneses are going, I better send my boy, or else we're going to miss out. It is based on winning that $20 ring versus the developmental side, more or less. We try to always keep the development part of it as the number one thing, but there's no doubt parents come to watch their kids play, and that cold drink tastes better. Once you're 3 for 4 in a victory, even if you beat the team 15-1,
Yeah.
versus the game in which you lost 3-2 and had some adversity. But both you and me know that 3-2 game is probably better in the long run for development and being able to compete at that college level or beyond. So.
What I love about BLE is the full week. You get so many drills, so many skills, and you get to apply those on field. With coaches on the field, you get to pause the game if you need to talk to somebody. And I mean, that to me, that's doing it right. It's doing it. It's really immersing yourself in the culture. And I think that's one reason I keep saying I want to come back up and coach, but my family says otherwise. But
Yeah.
being in that culture is something I feel like kids lack. And when I say culture, I mean developmental. That's such a big focus.
Well, the beauty of having kids there in a live-in situation as well too is that there's a lot of things that factor into there, just in to be a character person as well too. I mean, as you know, morning starts with the morning inspection, so you do have to make your bed and you do have to take care of things, and there's accountability for you. If you forgot your water bottle, you got to go back to the arena and go get it. There's no mom or dad being able to run back and grab your water bottle for you. So there's the accountability part that's there as well too. When you go to eat meals, funny, the other day I sent out an email and I tell you what, if you like to eat food, a smile towards the cook and please and thank you will go a long, long way. So there's a little bit of development there. We don't wear hats in the eating area, and these are just kind of call it old school. And I mean, what's old school? To me, old school is do it right. You know,
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it like we did back in the day, so we didn't get backhanded. In a nutshell. But it's kind of, and then when you have them for the full week, you can kind of build up on it because you got them for 3 hours. And if we need to get more work done, we can eat lunch and you know, get more work done. And then in the evening time, we get our play time. We get all that as well, too. Just a fun part at the end of the night where there's hockey shootout and all
Yep.
that, too, just to keep it light. But then the next day we get after it again. So it's not just a 1 or 2 day camp. You kind of get if you're one of the counselors with the teams, you get a chance to know the person a little bit, and what makes them tick a little bit as well too, because as well as anybody, coaching is the ability of managing personalities in a nutshell. And I always think of Joe Torre, and he had the biggest payroll and this and that when the Yankees were winning championship after championship back in late '90s and early 2000. Is the bottom line is Torre knew how to manage all those dudes that were the best in the game. And some guys don't have that success when they have that much talent in front of them. They can't win. But some of those coaches that can do that, they're worth their weight in gold, no doubt
I
about it.
was I was just talking to Thomas Green, and
Yeah.
he was telling me about that situation. He just got released from Fargo, and he had that in Fargo. He had a clubhouse. He had everybody on the same page. Everybody wants to develop, and a manager who who could handle everybody. Ex big leaguers, guys, on their way out in a sense. And what Thomas said some beautiful things. I mean, did Thomas go to BLE? You remember
Yeah,
Thomas?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So going
He was.
back to those days, and and now where he's at, he's in Welland, Ontario now, and he's getting ready for his first game with Welland tonight.
Yeah.
And he's like, again, a lot of failure. I got released twice in the last 2 months, but I got to keep coming. I got to keep coming. And it kind of brings me to mindset. You've been around. You've coached, you've scouted high levels. What's the one thing you see, Marty, back on the national team or in pro ball that separates guys that are doing it as a living to guys who hope to want to do it as a living?
Well, there's a work ethic is one. I can think of some names of players that you might know of as well. Two guys that have had great success, and all of these guys have almost the same type of character. The work ethic is phenomenal. They get after it. They're humble with their approach, so there's not very many. There's not super high, or they don't get super low. And I think of a Jason Bay as an example. There, you couldn't tell if he went 0 for 4 or 4 for 4 on any given day. Then I think about the other guys that had the grind, such as the Stubby Claps of the world. There's a guy that's work ethic would blow away almost anybody, but his talent was only probably at the elite level, probably marginal. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's wasn't hit for power, but it was get on base. It wasn't exceptional at anything, but it was gritty and dirtbaggy at everything.
Yeah.
So, and you need guys like that to help you win games. So uh, and the one thing when you mentioned Team Canada, the one thing we've always had, and we've had some really, really nice success, and if you ranked us player for player against other teams such as Dominican or the Cubans or something like that, you're going, okay, well, player for player, they got some guys that are gonna probably more guys gonna make it to the big leagues and do quite well, and probably a notch better than us, but we had such a continuity and chemistry amongst our guys, so there was a comfort playing amongst your teammates. So when you go back to the manager part again, you're sitting there going, okay, that guy can create that atmosphere. So there's a culture in that dressing room that allows guys to perform, and they know that people around them actually are sincerely care about them as well too. So they become human beings a little bit, but there's a common goal, and the goal is I want you to be successful, even if I'm trying to take your job away from you. I'll get the job if by chance my opportunity presents itself, and it just happens there. But there's that comfort of being able to know you have support around you as well too. And I think those players, they do quite well, and then other guys are just elite, and you know they just make it because they're that good. So
And I think a lot has changed with that. Of one thing I work on in my mental performance program, Mindset U, is we focus on screen time a lot. We focus on how much you on your phone. What are you looking at? What does that mean to your life? Is your screen time more than your training time? If so, what are we doing here? But the comparison factor. A lot of these kids think that they're not going to make it because they don't sign a letter of intent by X date, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas we both know better than anybody else, again, a Thomas Green or, many players, that there's so many different roads, so many different routes, and so many different timelines for guys for development. What would a message be from you to, again, 13, 14, 15-year-olds who potentially are, not playing well right now, undersized, et cetera, maybe think they don't get it. Like I played with Rich Harden when we were 12. Kid was like 4'8".
yeah.
He could barely hit a ball out of the infield.
Well, you think of guys. Baseball's a funny game. Baseball's not like hockey. I have a good friend of mine. I grew up with the Kurtenbach family. I don't know if that rings a bell, but he was the first captain of the Canucks, and Kurt was such a huge baseball fan. So after Kurt, and his son was the best man at my wedding. But we'd go to ball games, and I had a friend of mine that was with the Mariners, so he'd always get us tickets, and we'd go there all the time. And I remember coming back from being with Team Canada with the junior program there, and I said, "Man, we got this kid, and he's only 15, 16 years old." And it was Ryan Dempster, and it was when we had Dempster and Eric Gagne there. And I said, "Man, these guys, blah blah blah." And he looked at me in all seriousness and said, "Well, at what point, Marty, do these kids start showing that they're at the next level? Because in hockey, back in the day at 15, 16, 17, you were probably playing. You had to be playing junior A hockey to be able to have a chance to be an NHL guy." In baseball, where it's quite different, we have guys that sign out of college and they might spend 4 years in the minor leagues, and they don't break into Major League Baseball potentially till 27, 28. And I think of an Aaron Guile type,
Yeah.
an Nanaimo kid that made it up with the Yankees and then with the Royals. I don't think he broke in until he was 29 or 30. So you get a lot of those stories. So for baseball, it's more or less stay the course. It is a fine tuning type of game, and I think those kids that are so-called late developers have to do a lot of the little things. And when their physicality finally does settle in with them, because they did all the little things correctly, it pays dividends for them down the road when they, when the physicality starts to, work in for them and for their advantage. So, for that stay the course. I mean, baseball. It's funny nowadays. Kids graduate from high school, as long as their work ethic is there and they know what they need to do, then I think the development process can be there. They can take a gap year because those kids in the USA, a lot, for the most part, they're a year older than us as just the general way that they do their
Yep.
education system
Yep.
there. So, I mean, they don't have 17-year-old kids turning 18 in November going to their first year of college. Those kids are still seniors in high school.
That was me.
So, yeah, and now even more so because of COVID and adding an extra year, the NCAA just added an extra year. You're thinking kids, Canadian kids, oh, I'm going to go to be a Division I player. Do you realize there's 23, 24-year-old men on that field? So you might need another year to be able to, get out of boyhood or young manhood so that you can compete against these guys that are full men, grown men. So, stay the course and that there too. And I think about, you mentioned Thomas Green, and obviously his cousin is Taylor Green,
Hmm.
and Taylor made it to the big leagues. And there's someone that basically wasn't really a superstar out of high school, but he did get taken late by Milwaukee, and this is when I was with the Brewers at the time. He got taken late as a draft and follow, and I want to say it was the 36th round or something like that. Anyways, they took him as a draft and follow, and they signed him. At that time, they were allowed to sign him up until the previous 1 week before the previous draft. They signed him and gave him a little bit of pocket change. Well, and Taylor just worked and worked and worked. 2 times he was minor league player of the year. And because of that work ethic and kind of staying within his own ability, I mean, he made it to the big leagues. and which was really, really cool because there's a guy that basically is a testament to work ethic and doing the right things allowed him to play at the highest level of the games possible. Now, could he have done it without a proper mindset? Doubtful.
Yeah.
He had to have the mindset to be there, and he had to know what the work ethic had to be. He had to know who he was as a player. He might hit a home run, but he wasn't a home run hitter.
Yeah.
And if he all of a sudden thought he could be that guy, then he probably never would have got out of minor league baseball.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy that goes from Cypress College, junior college, to where he could play, and progressed into signing a professional contract. So um, the game's a beautiful game because I truthfully believe any player that wants to play college baseball can play college baseball. Now, do I think they can go to Louisiana State University, one of the top programs in the country? No, but there are so many programs, there are so many levels that if they want to be part of the greatest fraternity in the world, and that's the baseball family, then he can do it. Whether he's staying in Canada, whether he's at a small school in the States, or he's at a progresses to go to a bigger school and maybe pro ball. We've had, what do we had, 19 kids drafted this year out of Canada, in which I think we had another 5 or 6 pro post draft signings, BC kids such as the Max Poirier from Nanaimo
Mm-hmm.
and Reed Plague out of Victoria, and that as well too. So a great addition for these guys to move on, and they're interesting players because they're dare to dream with those guys. So
Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty cool.
I've known Reed since he was about 11 or 12 years old. And just to think of that process and this this stringy left-handed goofball,
Yeah.
who had a dream, and here we go, signed with the Reds, and let's go. It's going to be pretty cool. One thing Thomas mentioned that was my favorite part of talking to him was like, what's one thing that if you could tell yourself back then that you know now? And he just said, baseball's hard. It's really hard. Like, give yourself a break sometimes. It's going to be super, super hard. And that kind of led us to this question was, and we'll end it on this, Marty, because we want to keep these quick. But what does what does surrender the outcome mean to you when it comes to baseball?
Move on.
Yeah.
You can go 0 for 7, Curtis. We can go 0 for 11. My roommate in college was 1 for 41. He ended the year with a 313 batting average,
Wow.
which means to tell me what did he do after on his 42nd at bat onwards. So if he was now, don't kid yourself, he was in a little bit of a funk, and he was beating himself up, but he did go back. He kept working. He stayed the course. So when you surrender the outcome, it is, if you can get into the process, and this is where you guys are invaluable, the mindset people there, utilize, and I don't want to say failure as failure, but I want to say failure as opportunity. Utilize that to learn off a little bit. So, and kind of do a little bit of check on yourself. Okay, what was wrong with my performance today? Why wasn't I at peak performance, so to speak, or what's going on? And sometimes it's, truth be told, it's between the years. It's a mindset thing to where you might have to figure it out. Okay, I didn't have clarity. I didn't see the ball. What'd I do? Oh, well, I was up on my phone last night till 1 a.m. scrolling, there. So, blue light was entering into me, so I couldn't get proper rest. Oh, I didn't eat as well as I could have did there, so I wasn't locked in and focused because, like I mentioned earlier, you and me both know that we've basically had our best. We've gone 3 for 3 against the best and have no idea what happened, and then we've gone 0 for 4 against a pitcher that's below average that we should have crushed, and don't know why that happened. And a lot of it is basically it is what it is. And when you say that surrender the outcome, it was funny because I was part of Brett Lawrie's signing with the Brewers in the first rounder, and Brett Lawrie, as wound up and as intense as a player as he was, that he had such an ultra confidence in his ability. So when you struck him out, he went in the batter's box next thing, thinking he was going to beat you. So was he thinking about the last strikeout, or was he thinking about, what, I trust the process, I trust all the work that I've done, and I'm going to beat you. And then you struck him out again, and he stepped in the batter's box again. Did you defeat him? No, no. He still thought he was going to beat you, and he had that confidence. So it would have been, it's unfortunate that Brett didn't last longer than he could have lasted because of injury or whatever the case may be. But that was a very, very talented guy that was ultra confident in his ability, and you can call a little bit, call it arrogance, call it what you want, but it's
Wow.
ultra
I
confidence.
mean, his
And
sister had it. it came from
Oh,
their dad, right? I
yeah.
mean, shoot, I remember I was coaching on the provincial team when he was, I think, 16, and I don't know, he had some tournament or something he had to go to. No, none of the coaches even worried. They're like, "No, it's all good. We still need him on the team. He doesn't have to be here." He was just that different.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just that different.
Yeah, yeah. They're the few things when we get back to the chemistry part and all that as well
Mhm.
too. You want to make sure that it's always nice to have those guys with all those pluses and that also carry the equipment bag and all that as well too. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of neat what the difference and the variety of players that have success at the next level or on any given day.
Hmm.
Um, but for the most part, I mean, they come to play. Surrender the outcomes. Don't worry about it. We have first world issues here.
Yeah.
It's we're fortunate to be on a ball field,
Yeah.
and if we've got the good chemistry and the good characters on our team, you've got support around you as well too. So it's really not that big of a deal. 0 for 7 doesn't really mean squat if I go 4 for 5 the next game and a half.
Well, and it doesn't mean anything if you're 15 years old. It's not going to affect your college career, your pro career. And that's
No.
one thing, we try to drive home to kids is nobody cares, dude. Let's see how you rebound. What do you do next? What do you do
Well,
next?
that's the rebound is the big thing. Yeah, don't let it so-called beat you up. If these 0 for 5s or 0 for whatever are beating you up, and then you all of a sudden believe that, you can't get out of it or you're not that good anymore. Well, no, we need to change. We need to change our thought process here.
Yeah.
So because the game, once the kids, they need to understand that you're going to have adversity in this game more so than anything in any game.
Yeah.
3 for 10 at the big league level would get you stupid money, let alone I mean,
Hmm.
25 out of 100 gets you stupid money if you can hit some home runs. So,
Look at Juan Soto. The guy
oh yeah,
barely
yeah,
played defense, so he's doing something right. Marty, I appreciate your time, man. I really
yeah,
do. And it's great to catch up. Um,
yeah.
we'll keep you on here
Well,
for a sec after. Go ahead.
yeah. Let's stay in touch, Curtis. I think there's some really really neat stuff, and I think that what you do with all this mental prep and all this stuff is huge, huge, huge. And once again, if we can ever talk parents into hey, for every $100 you're spending on the batting lessons, you might want to spend you might want to think about putting a little bit of funds towards
You know
the other
what?
side that's going to help your batting average.
It's funny you say that because I just launched an academy program. So academies with 50 to 80 athletes in it, and it actually costs the players less than $1 a day.
Yeah, no,
Less than
yeah,
$1 a day. And that's fine. But the hard part is that it's not something you see right away. You're not seeing lasers off the bat. It's a delayed gratification. And it's kind of like watching yourself in the mirror grow. You don't see it right away. So it's a tough one. It's always been a tough one, not so much to sell, but for people to buy in when they don't know, because you don't know what you don't know. And that
yeah,
comes to the parents too. But this is kind of why I'm doing it. This podcast is like, let everybody know that, you train the mind just like you train the body.
yeah, yeah. Well, maybe what you do is they make it part of the overall package, and they're getting information they don't even know they're getting information. So,
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
awesome.
We're starting somewhere. Have a fabulous time in Oliver, Marty. And
Thank you.
yeah, yeah. Keep doing what you're doing because those kids are having fun, and I know even me just working there was some of the best years of my life. So thank you.
Awesome. No, I appreciate that, Curtis. All right,
Okay, thanks,
cool.
buddy. I'll just get you to stay on here. Okay.
Okay.